Hello, Eric Sundergaard, Architectural Specialties Installation Manager. We're going to talk about the installation of METALWORKS Plank. METALWORKS Plank is a ceiling system made of standard size hook-on panels fabricated from galvanized steel. There's two sizes. It's either 16 inches by 72 inches or 16 inches by 96 inches. You can get it perfed or unperfed. So this is a sample of one of the panels. If you notice how you have an out hook on this side and an in hook on this side. You also have gasket on two adjacent sides, and then the other two sides are without gasket. Here's your gasketing on these two sides of the panel, and then of course these other opposite two sides are without gasketing. And then this is your long hook on the panel, and this is your short hook on the panel. So when you're installing this panel, you're always going to install the short hook onto the grid first, following up by the long hook that will rest over the short hook from the next panel. This system is basically consisted of standard drywall grid cam angle, which is, this is our cam 151220E, the best framing angle in the market. And that is attached to the wall, and then we're using standard drywall mains as well with this system. So this is our standard drywall T with an aluminum J-hook pre-attached on the drywall 4-foot T. So when you order a box of these, they will come out already pre-assembled, just like this. So these T's come 4 feet long. My mock-up that I built here is only 3 foot, approximately 3 foot. So I needed to cut that cross T down, but in doing that, I have to cut at least 1.5 inches to 2 inches off this aluminum J-hook from the cut end of my cross T. When you do that, either a rivet or a field applied screw will have to be no more than 6 inches from the cut end of your T. So if you look up here, there's a rivet a lot closer than 6 inches, so I did not need to add an extra screw to that. So we're going to cut the cross T to length. Using a Hilti metal cutting saw is the best way to do it. You can cut through the whole T. So on your cut cross T, if you're going up to the 1.5 inch wall angle, the cam angle, or if you're going up to another main runner like I show in my mock-up, you just have to measure back 1.5 inches to 2 inches and cut that off so you have clearance for the grid to rest on the cam angle or on another main runner. I set my saw to the proper depth, so I'm going to cut through the face of this and be able to take the aluminum piece off. So in cutting this, you want to try not to cut the actual drywall T itself, so you may need to use a pair of clines to try to loosen up the aluminum, wiggle it back and forth to take your cut out of there. And then since it is so far back, I'm going to need to add a screw here. I'm going to add a screw since the last fastener is more than 6 inches away from my cut end. So now you want to set your finish molding height for your finished ceiling. So you remember you got your cam angle attached up there first for your suspension system. So we want to measure 2 13/16 from the face of the cam down to the finish of the finish wall angle. So these are just 2 examples of some AS trim that we have that's extruded aluminum. This will actually attach to the wall like so. And then you see that little notch in there? This is a pressure spring. So if you take the pressure spring and you fit in the notch like that, it holds down your cut panel so you have a nice tight seal along your flange there for a good visual. And also you have a shadow molding option that has the same hold down function with the pressure spring that will fit in there to hold down your cut panel. Another option is our 7835 C channel. It has a smaller flange on the bottom for 9/16 and a larger flange for 15/16 grit. The benefit to this is that you can attach this at your perimeter, and to hold down your cut panels, you use a 7835 SC spreader channel, which is approximately just under 11 inches long, so it's one spreader channel per lineal foot of C channel. And you just take this and lock it right in there to hold down your cut. Nice and easy way to hold down your cuts with the C channel and the spreader channel engaged. First, we're going to install the border panels by resting it on the angle, hooking it on the actual hook of the cross tee. So this is the small hook, and you just put them together, and you have an 1/8 inch gasket in between for visual and for accessibility on your full-size tiles. So since that's the short hook already engaged, now we have to put the long hook over the short hook of the other panel. And this side's got the short hook of the panel, which will engage as well on the hook. So for a perimeter trim option, we're using 6-inch classic Axiom and the ATC, the adjustable trim clip, in order to raise this grid up 2 13/16 from the flange of the Axiom, so the face of the panel will rest on that Axiom flange. So this is our Axiom 6-inch classic that we're using on this, but we have to hold down the cut metal when it's resting on this flange. So this is the AXSPT HDC clip for holding down your cut panels with Axiom. And by engaging this top hook of this into the upper boss, using your thumb or your finger to push on this part to engage the bottom piece in there, and that gives you the hold down function of holding down your metal panel on the Axiom. To access this ceiling, you pretty much have to find out which panel has the larger hook over the smaller hook, and in this case that's this panel. So this panel has the larger hook, so I need to lift up this one so I can be able to disengage the small hook off the suspension system. As I'm lifting up that panel, lift this one out. Panels slide pretty easily on this J-hook, so there is a seismic pressure spring that you can engage onto the hook to hold these panels down. They'll apply enough pressure to where these will not slide as easily, and that spring would also be used in seismic situations. Okay, so I'm going to reinstall this ceiling panel. Just like that. For the METALWORKS plank system, we have 2 infill options. One is a bioacoustical infill pad here. The only thing with this is that it's only in a 2x2, or it comes in 11 inches wide as well, but the panel is 16 inches. So it's a lot of cutting to still make this one usable, but we also have the bagged fiberglass, which would be a lot easier because it could drape over the upturns of the panels up there. It'd be a lot easier to install this compared to the BioPad. Most metal panels have a protective film on it when you get it to the job site and you have to peel that off. This one for the METALWORKS plank does not have the film on it. It has the gaskets already applied, so the film's taken off in order for them to apply the gaskets on before it's shipped to you. So now we have to protect the face of it from getting scratched as we're going to use the circular saw to cut this panel. So I will take some blue tape. You can either put the tape on first and put your mark on the blue tape. So when cutting the panel this way, it was fine because it was a short distance. But if you're cutting the panel the long ways, you may want to take some extra 2x4s or something and build it up on the inside of this panel so the panel's not rattling as you're trying to cut it down lengthwise. Thank you for your time today to watch this video. If you would like to learn more about these Armstrong Metalworks products, please visit armstrongceilings.com/metalworks.